Then he went on a kind of a weird rant about IVF.
I'm the father of IVF, so I want to hear this question.
So although abortion does lie with the states, what is your stance on that, and what would you say to those women?
And IVF, you had mentioned before,
Right,
IVF.
let's get this question, because I believe that's what this is about.
Oh, I want to talk about IVF. And we really are the party for IVF. We want fertilization, and it's all the way. And the Democrats tried to attack us on it, and we're out there on IVF even more than them. So we're totally in favor.
Imagine it's 2024 and Donald Trump is on TV, confidently proclaiming himself the father of IVF while, across the pond in England, the real pioneers of in vitro fertilization are in shock. But that's not all. His expertise comes from a 2-minute phone call. That's right, just 2 minutes talking to a very attractive senator. Because, apparently, a quick chat with a good-looking politician makes you an expert in medicine. During a recent town hall on Fox News, Trump boldly claimed he invented IVF. Yes, you heard that right. This is the same guy who can barely spell IVF, yet he wants us to believe he created the term.
So I got a call from Katie Britt, a young, just a fantastically attractive person from Alabama. She's a senator. Friends of mine came up to me and they were so angry. I didn't even know they were going, it's fertilization. I didn't know they were even involved in it. Nobody talks about it. She said, I was attacked in a certain way. I was attacked. And I said, explain IVF very quickly. And within about 2 minutes, I understood it. I said, no, we're totally in favor of IVF.
What's next? Will Trump claim he invented the wheel or discovered fire? IVF, which stands for in vitro fertilization, helps those struggling with infertility. In case you missed it in biology class, it was actually 2 British scientists, Patrick Steptoe and Robert Edwards, who pioneered this technique in 1978. But why let facts get in the way of a good Trump story? The most surprising part, Trump admitted he didn't even know what IVF was until just before his announcement. 1 minute he's clueless, and the next, he's the father of a major medical advancement. If becoming an expert were that easy, we'd all have Nobel Prizes by now. Dr. Jeffrey Shuren, a leader in reproductive medicine, pointed out that Trump's claim is not just false, but also insulting to the many scientists and medical professionals dedicated to this field. Clearly, Trump's new role as a medical expert hasn't impressed the actual specialists. So how does Trump defend this outlandish statement? By saying he had a brief phone conversation about IVF. That's right, 1 quick chat, and suddenly he's the father of a practice that has existed for over 40 years. If parenting were this simple, we'd all be experts.
Just upsetting. That sounds like he eats babies or is building a baby army, or wait a second, is he Rumpelstiltskin?
Now, the Republican Party is spinning like a ballerina on caffeine. They're proclaiming that embryos are sacred while trying to support fertility treatments. Historically, the GOP has been indifferent to reproductive rights, pushing for stricter abortion laws. But now they're scrambling to keep up with Trump, who has unexpectedly become an IVF supporter. In Alabama, the Supreme Court recently ruled that frozen embryos should be treated as human beings. Yes, you heard that right. Those tiny lab popsicles are getting personhood status. This decision has thrown the GOP into chaos, as supporting IVF could mean endorsing the creation of embryos that may never be born. It's a tricky situation, almost like trying to ride a unicycle on a tightrope. Republican leaders are rushing to align themselves with Trump, hoping to support IVF without alienating their anti-abortion base. They're twisting themselves into knots, juggling conflicting policies like a game of Twister. What does this mean for Republican policies? It's unclear. On one hand, they want to attract voters who might need IVF. On the other, they don't want to upset their anti-abortion supporters. For those seeking IVF, this political dance could have serious consequences. Will clinics in red states become bogged down with regulations? Will prospective parents face unnecessary hurdles? While Trump seems ready to champion IVF, hopeful parents might have to jump through more hoops at a circus lion. Now, in a surprising turn, Trump is reportedly claiming he can make IVF free for everyone. Yes, you heard that right. He's gone from someone who barely understood IVF to a Santa Claus promising fertility treatments for all. But this ambitious plan is about as realistic as his hair color. The GOP has been working to undermine healthcare, and now Trump wants to make reproductive treatments free, like offering caviar at a fast food joint. Sounds great, but it's unlikely to happen. Let's talk numbers. The cost of IVF can be staggering, ranging from $12,000 to $17,000 per cycle, and most people need multiple cycles. Attempts at IVF can be costly, and having insurance to cover those expenses is rarer than a typo-free Trump tweet. Only 19 states require insurance coverage for fertility treatments, and even then, it often falls short of what's needed. So how does Trump plan to fund these baby-making expenses? It seems like he's trying to pull a rabbit out of a hat, hoping for a fully funded healthcare system. Good luck with that, Grumpy Trump. You might be wondering how voters will react. While some may grasp at any promise of help with fertility treatments, like a hungry rabbit reaching for a carrot, others might see this as a blatant political move. Trump is trying to win over female voters faster than you can say, grab them by the ovaries. But will they see through this tactic like a flimsy hospital gown? Trump's push for universal IVF isn't just a political maneuver. It's a way to navigate the complex landscape of reproductive rights. The anti-abortion movement is grappling with this unexpected shift. Will Trump's base crumble faster than a failed IVF attempt, or will they adapt to this new reality? For a long time, anti-abortion advocates have viewed IVF with the same skepticism as evolution. Those frozen embryos have been seen as future voters, just waiting to grow up and support Republican candidates. Now, with Trump praising IVF, that moral equilibrium is shaken. Imagine being a staunch opponent of abortion, dedicating years to protesting and praying for those tiny cell clusters, only to have your orange messiah endorse a process that creates more embryos than a rabbit on fertility pills. Talk about moral whiplash. Conservative commentators are scratching their heads trying to reconcile Trump's new image as the father of IVF with their "every sperm is sacred" mantra. It's confusing and messy, like when a priest attempts to bless a test tube. This situation is giving religious leaders plenty to talk about as they make increasingly convoluted statements faster than Trump can tweet. They're trying to maintain that life begins at conception while balancing the fact that Trump supports IVF. The real question is whether this issue will divide Trump's base or if they'll engage in mental gymnastics to make it all fit. Some staunch opponents of abortion might abandon ship quickly, while others could develop a newfound interest in reproductive science. Who knew conservative Christians could be so flexible? For some followers, if Trump says IVF is acceptable, then it must be part of a divine plan. Others may feel misled, as if they've been offered a deal that's as phony as Trump's tan.